is not the Canada we once knew. For so many years, Canada was a shining example of a free and good-natured country, a society with strong yet kind morals, and a nation where the hard work and sacrifices of generations before made it possible for generations after to prosper. Not only did we work hard for ourselves and for our children, but for decades we have generously allowed people from all around the world, regardless of where they came from, to come here and partake in the prosperity we created, as long as they came here honestly, with good intentions, and a true desire to become Canadian in every way that matters. We were free, prosperous, generous, and happy. But somehow, somewhere, we've lost our way. We are here today because Canada is broken. Our kindness and generosity has given way to naivety and weakness. We no longer think critically about the decisions we make, nor do we engage in thoughtful debate over the policies we adopt. So many Canadians find themselves working hard at a job that feels meaningless in service of an economy that has become meaningless. Because while stock prices, real estate portfolios, and corporate profits stay high, Canadians struggle to afford not only the life we were promised, but the means to survive. Where once we based our immigration policy on what was best for Canadians, our government now does what's best for corporations, real estate investors, slumlords, and the immigration fraud industry, made up of diploma mills, LMIA scams, and consultants helping people to abuse pathways for immigration in ways they were not intended. We used to welcome into our country those who wish to earn a place in our society, respect our laws and customs, embody our values, and become Canadian. The immigration we see today, much of it, is nothing like the immigration we had before. The difference we see has nothing to do with race, and everything to do with how careless and corrupt our ruling class is. The future we were all promised cannot exist if jobs remain scarce, wages remain low, and home ownership remains a pipe dream for young Canadians. And Canadian culture and identity cannot survive tidal wave after tidal wave of immigration without assimilation. We find ourselves with a government that refuses to listen to the will of the people, the desire of the vast majority of Canadians to stop this insane, profit-driven mass immigration and send home the hundreds of thousands of temporary workers and fake students, keeping wages low, the cost of living high, and jobs scarce. Do you all remember just a few short years ago when we were all worried that automation was going to take away all the entry-level jobs and maybe even some of the mid-level jobs? And how many of us would be left without anything to do? But now they tell us there's a labor shortage, and so we need more workers. How many insane lineups have we seen at job fairs? How many jobs have you applied for before getting a single interview? Do you remember when they told us that we need to reduce our population because a person living in a first world country has a carbon footprint several times greater than a person living in a third world country? And perhaps they're right. But now, the supposed environmentalists in power say that through immigration, we should aspire to be a country of 100 million people by the year 2100. Perhaps they mean to reduce our carbon footprint by making us an impoverished third world country. Why do Canadians in need of life-saving medical treatment have to die waiting in order to accommodate treatment for non-Canadians? Why are we expected to throw away the prosperity and opportunity we once enjoyed and to make room in our housing market and our job market for millions of people for whom we owe nothing, just so that the rich can get richer while we become overcrowded and poor. Canadians want to be generous. We want to be welcoming, but we do not want this, and we did not consent to this. We do not want to be taken advantage of, tricked, lied to, and sold out by those we trusted to lead us. They give away what Canadians before us worked, fought, and died for. Yet the Indigenous peoples of Canada continue to live in squalor. Instead of trying to right the wrongs of the past, instead of working towards better living standards for the Indigenous, or trying to afford them some kind of dignified sovereignty and self-determination, we've decided to punish ourselves, to pay the pain forward with destructive mass immigration policies, akin almost in some places to colonization. So that like the Indigenous peoples before us, we too can live to see the society we hold dear, everything that was once ours, taken from us, destroyed, and erased. Is this the fate that must befall a society that dares to reflect on the sins of its past? Dares to explore ways in which it might one day make up for those sins? Dares to be generous and welcoming to others? Our history, like the history of all societies, bears the marks of bloodshed and injustice. But because we, unlike many other societies, have taken up the selfless aspiration to make up for those injustices of our ancestors, we must reject ourselves. Reject our Canadian identity and the beauty we once saw in it. And repent until we have nothing left to repent with. The ruling class rationalizes its actions to us in many ways, from the economic and pragmatic to the nebulous and philosophical. Their reasons are a distraction from what truly motivates them: money and power, which they obtain through corruption. It didn't have to be this way. And I say to you, it doesn't have to continue this way. There is a way forward. Canadians are waking up, and we are finding out that when you get right down to it, we're not as divided as they want us to think we are. Anglophone Canadians, Francophone Canadians, Indigenous people, and immigrant Canadians from across the ideological spectrum can all see that something's not right. What's happening right now is not working, and there is absolutely no reason that we should be made to endure it. All of us here today, united together as true Canadians, despite our differences, in defense of our future and our identity, are proof of this. Some of you may wonder what I mean by true Canadian. What is Canadian identity? I believe we all share a common intuitive understanding of what it means to be Canadian. Although it can be hard to put into words, I will try my best. I believe that to be Canadian means to embody several characteristics which truly set us apart from every other society in the world. I believe that being Canadian means to be gentle but strong. It means mowing your neighbor's lawn when you mow yours. It means standing up for what is right, not settling for what is convenient. It means respecting and admiring the natural world and protecting its majesty and serenity from the reckless arrogance of man. It means smiling at a stranger as though they are your friend. It means carrying your garbage in your pocket because you couldn't find a trash can nearby. It means that as a woman, you are free to dress, to speak, and to live as you wish, and to feel safe while doing so. And that as a man, you are obligated to respect these freedoms, whether or not you agree with how they are expressed. And to protect the safety of women and children in your community. And it means that as people, we are free to love who we want and how we want. Being Canadian means we can agree to disagree and to settle our differences with words and not with violence. It means to embrace our freedoms and to respect the freedoms of others. But above all else, it means we are duty-bound as sons and daughters of Canada, as inheritors of this fair nation which we have been entrusted with which generations of Canadians before us have fought, bled, and died for, to make good on the oath we made every morning in school, at every hockey game, on every Canada Day and Remembrance Day, to stand on guard for thee. I call on you all now to recognize the peril that lies ahead. I plead with you all to understand the gravity of the historical moment we find ourselves in. The world we've gotten used to over the past several decades is coming to an end. As we look around the world and within our own borders, we see that the great wheels of history are turning once more. And it is becoming harder for the distractions we are fed to hide this from us. The very survival of our country, our culture, and our society is at stake. And it is not hyperbole to say that we find ourselves in the most consequential moment in our nation's history since its very inception, whether or not it feels like it now. I call on you all now to consider